Hey. Ah, welcome, welcome. It's Wednesday. Ooh, child. Just like every other day. Just like every other one, all the other days. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's Wednesday. You know what we do on Wednesdays? I'm already ready. I'm already ready. I'm ready. Let's. Right? Okay. Hey. So it's Wednesday. Welcome to Sex Ed with Coach Catasha. I am your host. I am your host, Coach Catasha. And today is our live Q&A where we answer our sexual health questions live on air. Low key, low key. This is one of my favorite shows. It's my favorite stream of the week. I'm not even gonna hold you. It's my favorite stream because we get kicked. We get kicked off every week. But I'll be back. I'm usually back. Here I am, back, ready to talk to you about sex. As much as we can talk about it, okay? So let's discuss how we do this. Let's talk about how we keep it up, okay? Because it can definitely get us. I'm gonna make that a little bit bigger so y'all can see. Uh, it be a struggle. I don't know why it's so tickling to me, but it is. Again, this is still my favorite, one of my favorite shows. Um, I'm never gonna be annoyed with talking about sex. Like we could do that all day. So, but this is a stream for adults, so you have to be 18 or older to view and participate in this stream. Okay, so here's how we do this. Okay, and I'm gonna go over this a couple different times, but let's just start it off at the top of the show with how we pull this off. Okay. So, firstly, you can ask me whatever questions you have, whatever sexual health questions you have, if it has to do with erectile dysfunction, if it has to do with vaginal pain, if it has to do with body dysmorphia, if it has to do with gender, if it has to do with sexuality, whatever the question is, feel free to ask, okay? And I'm going to answer those questions with no judgment. I'm not here to, be in your business. I am here to be in your business because I want to make sure you're doing everything safely. But I'm not here to be judgmental. I don't have a judgy bone in my body. So, I mean, I do, but not for this. But the purpose of this is to create a space where you can come in and you can ask your sexual health questions, because there's not really a space available for you to do that, right? Statistically, when I look at the data, only about 30% of doctors are talking to their patients about their sexual health, which means there's about 70% of people, 60 to 70% of people who are not getting the care and the help that they need, right? And especially in this economy where, people have more things to be worried about, it is, being worried about your sexual health is usually not on the top of your list. But I want it to be. I want it to be on the top of your list. So, that's what we're going to be talking about today, is your sexual health, okay? Now, please feel free to drop your questions in the chat. If you have any sexual health questions, you can drop them in the chat. But whatever you're watching this on, which I'm live right now on TikTok, on Facebook, on Twitch, and on YouTube, okay? Each one of those programs, each one of those applications has their own built-in moderation system, okay? And so there are some words that they are not going to let you say, even if it is pertaining to sexual health, right? And I don't want you to get blocked. I mean, I'll get blocked, but I'll be back because this is always an educational space. So I will absolutely be back if I do get blocked. But I want you to be able to keep your page and keep your stuff as well. And I also want you to be able to have the conversations that you want to have and to get the knowledge that you're trying to get, especially if it's based on your sexual health. So, ask me your questions, but put on your Grey's Anatomy house hat and try to use the technical terms, for the issue that you're asking about. So, for example, if you have questions about the processes that you take before you engage in backdoor activities, okay, that you would have to put that in a way that leaves some of those words out, okay? And that's completely fine if you just want to skip over the word or you want to use your little asterisks or whatever. I'm really good with my context clues. I got the paperwork to show it. I'm really good with my context clues, so you can leave them in there and I will answer the question to the best of my knowledge with the information that you give me. Now, if you do not see me answering your question, it may have been blocked by one of those moderation systems. So I am never purposely ignoring your question. Whatever that question is, we're going to address it. But if you don't see me addressing it, it most likely means that it didn't show up on my end. So ask again and just leave out whatever spicy words you think that may have got that question blocked, okay? Because I want you to ask your question. And I completely understand that you may not always have the language. Hey, Jamie. Hey, Sugar. You may not always have the language to ask the questions that you want. So I'm not going to judge you for not knowing that language, okay? I am going to, if you do use language that is outdated or possibly offensive, I will give you the right language so that when you go and inevitably pass this knowledge on, that, oh, hey, are you just now? Okay, 18, that's the cutoff. So you in the right place. Okay, no, that is not a part of the agreement that we have. And don't get blocked trying to be cute. Like, they will get you up out of here. So they watch my page very closely, okay? And I don't want them to come in and take your page because you're trying to be funny. So, because I'll be back and you won't be back. So just chill out. You must be freshly 18, probably not 18, but because you don't know how to act in these spaces, and then that's fine. But just chill out and ride it out. You'll be okay. All right. So be sure to ask your sexual health questions if you have any questions about anything that may be going on with your body, with your sexuality, things that you might be feeling, something that you might be experiencing. Then you can drop those questions here and I will be happy to answer them for you. Okay? Now, again, they're gonna be moderating these, whatever you're watching this on, somebody's gonna be watching it, okay? If it gets blocked, you gonna make, okay, I'm not gonna listen, that's gonna be your mess. They gonna get you up out of here and I'm not gonna be able to save you. So that's on you. But if you have a question and you do not see it there, please just bring it back. Leave out the words that you think that may get you in trouble. And because I will be back. So because this is an educational stream and I'm not here selling anything or trying to convince you or nothing like that, I'm here purely as an educational resource. So I will be back. No matter what happens, I will be back. I cannot guarantee that. So just make sure you're protecting your page because I'm going to be fine. Okay. I'm going to be just fine. But if you have questions and you are a little bit shy, you don't want people, in your business, and let me turn that off because I don't want to keep hearing that. And you don't want people in your business, you can send those questions to my email and I will be able to bring them back to the chat for you, which I totally understand. You don't always need people in your business. If you one of them people that are crash and grinder at the Republican conventions, but you still want to know what to do, I'm here for you. Okay. And hopefully one day you will be able to live your life out loud. But until then, you can secretly ask me your questions and I will be happy to bring them back to the chat for other people who may also have that question, but are not as open as you are. Again, it's your business. I definitely don't want you to be outed. I don't want anything attached to your username I don't know who this person is. It's definitely somebody's kid, which is so funny. I don't even know, like, they shouldn't even be able to be here. I'll address that later. Yeah, I don't even know how people's kids get in here, but they be in here. So you would think that they would be smart enough to just sit and listen and get the information, but no, they got to come in and but that's fine. Kids need to learn too, I guess, but they're not supposed to be able to get in here. So I'll have to go on the back end and to hold everybody up, but we'll do it. We'll do what we have to do to keep the kids out of here. It makes me sad though, because I really do want them to learn, but they don't know how to act. They just don't be knowing how to act. So I'm gonna have to get them out of here. Okay, I can do a little, no, I'm not, I just warned you live, so I don't have to do that. We're just gonna have to get you out of here. I'm sorry. Sorry, children. All right. And I'm gonna put involving minors because I'm pretty sure that's a minor. And let me go ahead and take a little screenshot of, because I didn't want to have to do this, but I can't have you in here cutting up, especially if you're a kid. So sorry. I wanted you to be here though, so it's you the reason that you're not here. I was just fine with you being here. Let me put it at the top. I'm sorry, y'all. The rest, we'll be back in just a second, but I can't have no kids in here. And you definitely acting like a kid. It's the first person I've ever had to block. That's how I know it was a kid. All right. Okay. All right. Sorry about that to everyone else. I apologize. Okay. So let's get back to business. Okay. So if you have your sexual health questions, please feel free to drop your questions in the chat, or make sure that you are being respectful for the whatever program you're on. I of course don't mind if you have questions about things that are going on with your body, you have questions about things that are going on with other people's bodies, whatever the case may be. This is the place to do that. And the reason why this place has been, why I made this stream and why I do this, is because I know that there are very few places that are available for you to talk to your, talk about your body, or talk about sex, or talk about what's going on with you, or what's going on, and as life progresses, you run into different kinds of sexual issues and sexual things. And most people only had the class that you took in like 6th grade, right? And so with that, the knowledge that you have of your body, of the body of the people that you're going to be entertaining, is very limited, right? And so that puts you at a disadvantage when you're going out into the world doing something like having sex that a lot of people are going to be doing, but not very many people have information on how to do it safely, how to talk about consent, things like that. So you just want to make sure that this space that you have that I'm opening, is that you're using it. And I'm not saying for the person, whoever it was that was in here being whatever, but I mean that you're not too afraid to ask your questions, that you're not I thought I blocked you. I didn't. Hold on. I must didn't do it right. Oh, I did. I only reported you. Sorry. Okay. So we got that done. Okay. So let's talk about some of the questions that we have that I got into the chat that were emailed to me, for people who didn't yeah, you're 18, but you're not being respectful, and that is the problem. The problem is not that you're definitely not 18, because that is not the way that an 18-year-old would act. This is the first time you've ever been in a situation like this, and I can tell. And you literally have 13-year-old in your name. So please. You are not, I'm sorry, you're not. And, there you go. Okay. That's taken care of. Again, that was the first time I ever had to do that. So, I don't mind people coming in and all of that stuff, but I just, I don't want children. This is not a children's stream, and they should be blocked from even being able to do this. So when I originally set this account up, and they were on Twitch, and so I had to go through like a process where I emailed them. We went back and forth. I have a liaison to talk about. On every one of my platforms, it should be adult only. Now, I know that kids still get in. I get that. I completely understand that. But this is not a place for them, and this is not how I want children to learn about sex education. I do not teach children. I only teach adults, and that is because the things that we're going to be talking about, they have no idea about yet, right? This is not a space where they're going to have enough of the context to know what we're talking about. So I don't want to subject children to that. So now back to it. If you do have questions and you are an adult, but you are shy, You can drop those questions into the chat, into my, not to the chat. You can drop them into the chat, of course. But if you're shy and you don't want people in your business, then you can drop them into my email and I will be happy to bring them back to the chat next week. This is my email address. Let me make sure I put it on my TikTok as well. And tell your friends, if you know other adults who would appreciate adult sex education, which is probably going to be more people than you know, I really would like to help as many people as I can. I'm not any, I don't even know. I never made no money from this. I've been doing this for 11 years. I mean, I make money individually, but not like being on here. So I'm literally doing this because I want you to know, and that I know that there are not very many places that you can learn about sex and sex education without, feeling like you are being accosted. And I use that very loosely. But, I think it's important that you are, that you have an outlet to express your sexuality, that you could ask your, hold on, I'm in stuff. I'm trying to figure out how to get to, geez, who was that? Somebody was fussing. Okay. Okay. So let's get to our first question. Dang, we already 30 minutes in. I've been arguing with somebody's kid. Okay. Okay, first question, and these are questions that were sent to my inbox, but please feel free to drop them in the chat if you come across it, or if I'm talking about something and you're not quite sure if you have any other follow-up questions to anything that I'm talking about, please feel free to say something. I want you to know, okay? Let me put the question in my TikTok because it doesn't come up in my Streamlabs. Okay, so the question is, how do I know if I have an STD, and what's the difference between an STD and an STI? Okay, that's a really good question. Okay. Excuse me. First part of that sentence. Excuse me. Jeez. How do I know if I have an STD and what's the difference? Okay, so how do I know if I have an STD? If you are sexually active, you probably have an STD, an STI, an STD or an STI. Some of them are completely symptomless. So there's no idea, you wouldn't know you had anything. Even some of the other ones that do have symptoms, it can take a while before you realize that you are experiencing symptoms of an STI. And so, some of the common things that you can look for is discharge, funny discharge, or discharge when there should not be a discharge. So if you have a penis, if you're noticing discharge from your urethra, if you have a vulva, if you're noticing an odd colored discharge, because the discharge is actually normal for a vulva. But if you're noticing a weird colored discharge or a funky smell, that's going to be for both. A funky smell, a different consistency in the discharge, if it's like chunkier or things like that, that could be signs of an STI. If you notice lesions on your genitals in any faculty, if you're noticing open lesions, if it's on your lips or if it's on your shaft or on the bulb, any of those places, you may have an STI. If you notice a burning sensation or something when you pee, that could be a symptom of an STI, but it could also be a symptom of a urinary tract infection, which is not necessarily an STI, but it can be prompted by sexual activity. So if you, so let me break that down in the scheme of a vulva. I wish that I could show you, like I have a Lolita that I use, but I can't because I know I'm gonna get blocked. So this is a vulva when you're having sex, okay? And this is the body. There's the hole right there, and this is the body. Right above that hole is the urethra, which is the hole that you pee out of, okay? So the hole that you're going to be using for activity and the hole that you're going to be peeing out of. When you are engaging in sexual activity, you are pushing up against that hole. Every time you push up against that hole, you have the possibility of pushing bacteria into the urethra. So, although a UTI is not necessarily a sexually transmitted infection, sex is one way that you can get a UTI, which is why you should always pee after sex. That I don't care what you have down there, you should be peeing after sex. Okay, so a UTI or a bladder infection. So if it burns or if you feel like when you pee, usually if you have like a UTI or you're getting a bladder infection, you will feel it in other places other than down there. So when you go to pee, you will feel like as that pee is closing up, you will feel like something is trying to pull your skin off your body. Like you will feel like a tingle go all through your body, and that usually means that it's an STD or an STI. Other things that you may notice itching or burning, but that again, those could be signs of a sexually transmitted infection, or it could be just you being allergic to detergent or sweat or anything else. It could be your body reacting to a bunch of different things, right? But there are some sexually transmitted infections like hepatitis B where you will not see the symptoms, or HPV, which HPV is a very, very common sexually transmitted infection, and it is one that you will not see the symptoms of until it has replicated in the body a whole lot, right? So there are some STIs that lie dormant in the body for years. You won't even know the point of infection, such as hepatitis B, such as HPV. Those types of sexually transmitted infections can lie dormant in the body until they have converted enough cells to make you see symptoms. And so the second part of that question is, what's the difference between an STD and an STI? Firstly, an STI is a sexually transmitted infection, and an STD is a sexually transmitted disease. We actually just moved to a sexually transmitted infection because there's a lot of stigma associated with STD. But the case, and when we look at it, we look as an STI as the infection, and then STD is usually the symptoms of that infection. So if you are experiencing, discharge, itching, burning, blah, 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 we consider that the STD, whereas the actual infection, which is the hepatitis or whatever you've managed to pick up, those are going to be the infection, right? And as a side note to that, you should not base symptoms on if you have an STI or not. People cannot look like they have an STI. And I know that's a common myth that people have is, you can look at someone and tell if they have something or not. That is, I cannot reiterate enough how dumb that is. Okay? Please don't use that as a moniker of who's safe and who's not, because that is dumb. Okay? You don't know what people have. You don't know. And that even goes for, because sometimes I do have to work with kids and they have an idea that because someone hasn't had sex, that they have not had a sexually transmitted infection. But something like hepatitis B can be shared through like saliva. It can be like the probability of you getting hepatitis B if someone else in the house has hepatitis B is super, super high. Okay. You can get it from sharing silverware. And again, because it's just a virus that lies dormant in the body, if you are not careful, it can absolutely be spread outside of sexual means. And so, there are some stuff that people are born with that, their parents had, and they were infected in gestation. And so someone not being sexually active does not mean that they do not have the makings of an STI in their bodies. Okay. So being able to look at someone is not a good way to tell if they have anything or not. The only way for you to know is to go and get tested. And you can put in wherever you are in the United States, I don't know about the world, but wherever you are in the United States, you can put in your county and put in testing, and it will give you testing sites in your area. Now, what is the recommendation that coach gives you on how you should be getting tested? I'm the expert here, so this is your guide to STI testing. If you are sexually active, you need to be getting tested at least once a year. Okay? That is if you are in a relationship or not. Once a year, you need to get a full panel because you don't know what people are out here doing. And again, sometimes people have stuff in that lives in the body that will lie dormant in the body for years and years and years. And you won't know the time that you got infected, but the body may pick up 15 years from now. Those cells have replicated enough for you to start seeing symptoms and for you to be contagious again. And you can actually, even if you go through the process of treating hepatitis B, it can be reactivated under certain conditions. So you don't know what the body can do. So you need to be getting tested at least once a year. Now, if you are having recreational sex, and I call recreational sex where, you living your best life, and Annie is not here to judge you, okay? I am not here to do that. But if you are recreationally experiencing sexual activity, you need to be getting tested every 6 months, okay? Every 6 months. Do it on your birthday, do it 6 months from that. Do it every, do it on that month and do it at whatever the 6 months after that is. Or however you have to do it. You can do it at the beginning of the year. You can do it in the summer. However you need to do it. But if you are going out, having one night stands, and especially if you are engaging in riskier forms of sex, and when I say riskier forms of sex, I mean, that you're not always you need to be getting tested if you're not using a condom anyway. But, if you know that you are not, and again, I'm not here to judge you. I'm just here to tell you how it is, okay? If you're not using a condom all the time, if you are having multiple partners, all of those things, then you need to be getting tested every 6 months, okay? Every 6 months. And again, if your job consists of you engaging in recreational activities, okay, you need to be going every 2 to 3 months. Every 2 to 3 months, because most of the STDs and STIs that you can catch can be treated. Almost all of them. Almost everything can be treated if you catch it early enough. And I say that for about 90% of stuff. And I'm being so real with you right now. About 90% of the things that you can catch can be treated if you catch it early enough. But the problem is that we don't prioritize testing, and so you don't know until it's completely taken over the body. A couple of years ago, we received notification that Oklahoma had one of the highest rural burdens of HIV. And what does that mean? That means that people that live in rural areas when they find out they have HIV, it's already to a catastrophic level, right? Where they're having to fight back. Whereas if you were getting tested regularly, they would be able to maintain, because what usually happens is the disease enters your body, it attaches to cells, it reconfigures those cells, turns those into bad cells, and then moves on. That cell replicates and it moves on until the bad cells overweigh the good cells, okay? That's when you start seeing symptoms. That's when you start getting sick. So if you catch it before it gets to a maximum exposure, right, then you have a better chance of treatment and not spreading the whatever you have to someone else, which is also important because you may think that you don't look like you have nothing either, and you do. And you do. Okay. And if you are engaging in sexual activity, it's a high probability you got something. Okay. You got something. And the way that we are out here engaging in sexual activity, you probably got a couple of things. Okay. So do not think that you can look at someone and tell, oh, this person doesn't have anything. This person is good. This person is not. You don't know that. Okay. That is not information that you can tell with your eyes. Now, on the other side of that, if someone does have some of the symptoms, you and me, need to be looking, okay? Cut that light on, get the scooting stuff to the side, lifting it up, squeezing it. Before you put your mouth on it, you need to be looking at it, okay? I need you to use your eyes. Now, again, that's not going to necessarily tell you if they have something or not. But if the ride is feeling a little bumpy, if the seat is doing like this while you in it, you need to be looking at the material to make sure that, this is all right. Because people don't look at their parts either. So the person that you are engaging with might not know they have bumps down there either. No clue. Have no idea. So, it's a teamwork. Make the dream work, baby. Both of y'all need to be looking, using your eyes, making sure nothing's popped up, okay? Feeling around, touching stuff. Get a mirror. You need to look at it. You need to know what it looked like. You need to know what's supposed to be there, what's not supposed to be there, and everything, okay? So the difference between an STD and an STI, we usually use STIs now. STI is the preferred term. But STI is sexually transmitted infection. And when they say STD, they're usually talking about the symptoms. So that's going to be the difference. And you're not going to know. You will never know if someone has, if you or anyone else has an STI by looking. And even if you not, because like I said, a lot of them they are symptomless. You can go and you wouldn't know, no one else would know that you have anything. Okay. So that's a really good question, but make sure that you are making yourself a testing schedule. What I say? Every 6 months. Every 6 months. And if you are in a committed relationship, once a year. At least once a year. When you go get your annual, when you go do your annual whatever, get a full panel. A full panel. And I say that, but it is not necessarily a thing where your partner might be cheating on you or, somebody stepping out and bringing something back home and all of that. Because some of those things just lie dormant in the body. They could have got it in college and it just it would replicate it at a very slow pace, a very, very slow pace. And then, 10 years down the line, now there's enough of the cells in the body for it to trigger symptoms. And so you've been with your partner for 5 years and you like, we haven't slept with nobody else and we just been together and I don't understand how I would have got this. It's probably something that they had, prior to y'all being together, but it was just dormant in the body. So it doesn't necessarily mean that your partner is cheating on you. But sometimes it do. Okay. Sometime, if you get chlamydia, that don't hide in the body. Okay. That's not syphilis. That's not hiding in the body. Okay. That is something that somebody done picked up and brought to you. Okay. So just make sure you asking the right questions with the doctor that y'all are getting to the bottom of what you need to get to the bottom of. But don't be afraid, because if you catch it quick enough, whatever it is, you will have a better opportunity of treatment if you are quick on the draw. Okay. And I need you to be quick on the draw, right? Because I want you to have sex for a really long time and have really great sex. And you can't do that if you ruin the pieces that are helping you have the sex. Okay. We got to hold on to it. We can't, you can't be overusing the stuff and tearing up the material, because you only get one. You only get one deal. You get one vagina. So you got to keep them in pristine condition. And to do that, you need to be having regular maintenance. Take your butt to the doctor, okay? Y'all already pay somebody to do that anyway. If you have a primary care physician, you got a job, they taking that money out your check either way it go. Go to the doctor. And if you don't have the money, the clinic will do it for you for free. There are plenty of free testing sites in each state in the United States to help you and they can give you pills, they can give you insight, all that good stuff. If you're in Oklahoma, there are a lot of really dope Black women that work in the Oklahoma County Health Department. So definitely go and get the help that you need. Okay. All right. Okay. So that was a good question. If you do have any other questions, please leave your questions in the chat. I will be happy to answer whatever sexual health questions you have. If you are asking your question and you don't see me addressing it, there may be a issue of the verbiage or the language that you're using. And so I don't mind. I don't mind the language of the verbiage, but the systems do. So try to ask your question in a way that you can get the answers that you need, but also keep your profile up, okay? Because sometimes they get you up out of here, man. Again, I'll be back, so I'm not worried about getting blocked or getting whatever, because I'll be back. But I can't say that for you, okay? But I will be happy to answer whatever questions you have. You have questions about sexuality, you have questions about intimacy, you have questions about healthy relationships, you have questions about consent. I seen a video earlier today of a guy who was complaining about how, honoring consent can get you blackballed. And he's absolutely right. And I hate that. And as someone who has gone through that, I completely understand the difficulties that it is with consent because of the way that people have been taught to negotiate sex. And I'm saying that as someone who is in the comments of all of these women saying, I'm not going to start nothing. I'm just going to back it up on you. If you don't get the hint that I'm in this outfit and that I'm doing this, and I'm without expressly saying like, this is what they want to, this is what they're here for, this is what they want to do, they're not going to make the first move, they're blah, blah, blah. It's so hard to practice consent in a space where we have set that up as the proximity, right? We have set the chase up and then we punish the chase. So it is important that we rewrite the narrative on consent. And you ain't never heard me cuss out a group of women the way you heard me cuss out a group of women who be like, I don't want to initiate, I don't want to start it, I don't want to, you the man, you supposed to blah blah blah. Baby, I'll be in there eating them up, because in a world where we're supposed to be knowing what we want and blah blah blah, you just backing it up or giving little hints and all of that shit, men are not gonna always understand that or fall for that. Like, I need you to use your words. Is this what you want to do? And if you say no, it's no. It's not. And I'm telling you as someone who has had the no weaponized against them, where you tell me no and I'm done. There's nothing else to pursue. But sometimes people are saying no when they want you to work harder. And I think that's where that's essentially what the video I saw was about, is that she said no, but the expectation was for him to press it and to keep going. And I'm gonna be honest with you, that is a lot of people. I was definitely one. I love We Not Supposed to Be Doing This. That is my jam, okay? That is my jam. We not supposed to be doing this. But I make that known in the beginning. Hey, I'm gonna make you work for it. I'm gonna make you fight for it. I'm gonna make you, because I love We're Not Supposed to Be Doing This. And by me having that conversation and me saying, I'm giving you permission to work your hardest, because I'm going to resist, because that's my jam. I want to resist for as long as I can. And so that's a part of the fun for me, okay? I've always made that known to my partners, though. Because if I tell you no, I mean absolutely fucking no. I mean no. But everybody's no, realistically, has not always meant no. And that is very, very hard for men who are trying to be on the consenting end of this. And that's essentially what the guy was saying, was that, like, she made me out to be a bad guy. She turned me into this person because she said no 2 times on 2 separate occasions. She said no, and then she just acted like I was on some weird shit. And that is absolutely what women do. And I'm not going to give you a pass for that, because y'all do. You absolutely do that. You want him to convince you. You want for that person to make the first move, but you have not set the parameters that that's what you want. That's the kind of relationship that I want. And so, and it's nothing wrong with that. It's nothing wrong with wanting to, tussle about it a little bit. It's nothing wrong with that. But if you're not letting the other partner know that that's what you're into, you're expecting them to press when you're saying no. And that's not okay. It's not okay. So I completely understand that consent, those consent conversations and how they can get muddy in the water. But I want us to just redirect how we look at consent, and that all of it is a conversation. You're allowed to like whatever you like. If you never want to initiate sex, that's great. Okay? You need to make sure that you are with or making a relationship or trying to be intimate with someone who is absolutely okay with that. Who is absolutely okay with pressing and convincing and doing all of that. Because not everyone's okay with that. That's not something that all of us are going to agree on, okay? But if you have that conversation in advance that, you know, I really like this part of the chase. Like, I like to do this. And you and you and the partner are on board that this is what it's going to be, then, you know, that's up to y'all. It's just like having free access. You know, we talked about that another Wednesday. Having free access is a whole different thing. If, you know, I'm fine with you waking me up with it. Everybody's not okay with that. That's not, and that's on both ends, men and women, that are not okay with engaging in activity with someone who's not fully coherent. And there's so many nuances to that, right? Because they also tell you, you know, you shouldn't be engaging in sexual activity if you're inebriated. But a lot of people engage in sexual activity when they are inebriated. But there needs to be a level of comprehension even in that inebriation. So there's so much nuance to it that a conversation is necessary. The conversation is necessary. It's not weird. It's not somebody being weird or acting weird or doing all that. It's a necessary part of engaging in activity with another person, especially if the goal is pleasure. If the goal is we are supposed to be having fun and I want you to have the fun that you're looking for and I want to have the fun that I'm looking for, there has to be a conversation around that. It has to be. Otherwise, you run the risk of damage and harm. And that's an unnecessary risk. So have the consent conversations. We talked yesterday for a little while because the internet was messed up. And then, so of course I went and cried to my husband because that's what I do. And he was like, oh, I did see some trucks in the thing. I wonder if they done towed something up. And I was like, that's probably it. That's probably why it wasn't working. I love having a nerdy husband. I definitely went whining. Like, baby, it's not working, and I tried to do stuff and it didn't work, and I don't know what to do. But yeah, so I'm gonna run that impact. We're gonna do that next Monday. I'm gonna run that impact playback because we didn't get to. Tuesday because we didn't get to finish it and go through it. So we will be back on Tuesday with that. But okay, so that. Whew, all right, let's get another question. Please, if you have any questions, please feel free to leave those questions in the chat. I will be happy to answer them for you. These are all questions that were sent to my email over different platforms. Again, I have so many social medias. I don't even know how y'all keep up. How? Please help me, because who's supposed to be logging into all this stuff? I don't even know. I don't even know. I don't even know, baby. Wearing me out. Oh, okay. But I'm doing better because I'm getting the questions. Did I tell you all, did somebody block me because I didn't answer his question? But it was in my requests and I didn't know because I don't be in there like that and I messed up. And I don't think they forgave me. They blocked me. I didn't even get to be like, hey, I'm sorry I just saw your question. They said, get your fake ass out of here and got me up out of here. Hey, you can't win them all. Okay, next question. Next user question is going to be, can you be in love and still not want sex? Now, that's a really good question. And yes, you can. Because sexuality and romanticism is two different things. So sexual attraction and romantic attraction are two different things, okay? So you can have very strong, and I'm about to explain something that everyone should understand, okay? Have you ever met someone that was totally terrible for you, right? They were the worst. Every moment y'all spent together, There's always an argument, but the sex was phenomenal. Phenomenal. But it's not anybody you want to be in a relationship with. They stress you out. You don't even want to talk to them unless it's nighttime. That is purely sexual attraction. Okay? People can understand that. That's purely a sexual attraction. You can also have a purely romantic attraction where you just want to do all the things. You want to take care of your person. You want to hold hands with them. You want to make sure that they're good. You want to pack their lunch. You want to, be on top of their health. You want to make sure that they're eating and not just drinking coffee all day, and never be interested in a sexual attraction with them, right? Never have. And another way that you can experience this is with platonic friendships. Platonic friendships are romantic. It is an intricate interest in a specific person. I want to be friends with you. And I'm really good to my best friends. Listen, my bitches get the best treatment, okay? My best friends, baby, they get the full of me. I'm on everything, right? And so that is purely, I have no sexual desire to be in a relationship with them, but I absolutely have a desire to want to make their lives easier, to be interested in what they have going on, to want to show up at places, go to your events, your birthday, all of that, your mama's funeral, whoever. I'm in the building. I have a connection with these people that has nothing to do with sex. And those are also forms of love. I think that we move love into this relationship of, that is exchanged in a sexual relationship, but we practice non-sexual love so often. So often. You feel the same feelings that you have for your children, for your nieces and nephews, for your best friends, for your brothers and sisters. I'll tear down the world for my brothers and sisters. I would tear the world down. I will tear down the world for my husband. So we have intertwined these two things that are not necessarily intertwined. You can actually have so many different types of attractions. Like, there are so many. And another one of the questions, which if we have time, we'll get to it, is actually over one of those types of attractions. But there are plenty of ways that you can experience love that are not connected with sex or the need for sex. And not even, that's outside of being asexual. We'll discuss that in a moment. But that is not even including asexuality. But just that you have a place in your heart for people that does not necessarily include your genitals. You know what I mean? So you have the capability of wanting to care for someone and wanting to love someone that has nothing to do with exchanging sexual favors. That's totally normal. Now, if you are asexual, that means that the way that you build the pathway to sexual arousal, asexual people do not build the pathway like that. So asexual people are not necessarily people who don't have sex. There are people who are, that the pathway to arousal is not the same as ours is. And so they may not get aroused or experience sexual arousal at all. Like, I'm never interested in taking off your clothes and entering your body. I'm never interested in taking off my clothes and letting someone enter my body. I'm never interested in that. I am interested in, feeding you chicken noodle soup when you're sick and holding your hand and doing all that stuff. But I'm just not interested in physically engaging in sexual activity with you. Now, we had a conversation about asexuality before, and asexuality is not that you can't get sex or that you just turned it off because your baby daddy be tripping, or that these bitches and blah blah blah. That's not asexuality, okay? That's not what that is. You are just experiencing a period of abstinence, okay? But you are just abstaining from sex for a little bit. But you are not asexual, which, that you could move into different periods of sexuality. But so I won't say that. I won't say that it's not asexual. It definitely shares a lot of the same traits, but the someone who's truly asexual, it just doesn't, their body just doesn't, it doesn't take the information. Like you walking by with your boobs out does not signal sexual activity for them. They're just like, oh, some boobs, keep on going. Or you smelling a certain way does not trigger arousal for them. Or you wearing lingerie does not signal sexual activity for them. It's just like, oh, that's a cute shirt. And that's the way that works. Now, there are a lot of people who claim they are asexual, but statistically only about 1% of the population is asexual, which is about the same percent of the population as trans and everything else that everybody's super freaking worried about when it's just this little piddly poop piece of the population. So the likelihood that you are asexual is small, but not completely, unattainable. It's not that you can't be. It's just that the likelihood of it is it's only a small part of the population who would consider themselves truly asexual. Okay? So, yes, you can absolutely still be in love with someone and not be interested in sexual activity. Now, where that could become a problem is if your partner is not on the same wavelength that you are, right? So if you are in a relationship with someone who is a little bit more sexual, who does build the pathways to sexual activity, if they see your meat out, they be like, oh, but your meat's out, it must be a party. And so if that's what's happening, you can feel the distance between that, because it will cause, issues between you two if your sexualities don't align. It can be managed if you want to, but I always recommend being honest about what you like and what you don't like, and finding the people that align with what you want. It is, if you have a very high sex drive, you need to find someone that knows that, and that you can meet on that level, instead of finding someone that you tolerate and then trying to trick them or move them up to where you want them to be. That it's not fair, and you're just going to make your relationship difficult. Okay? Be honest about what you want, be honest about your desires, and try to find someone that meets you where you are. Now, I will say, sometimes people lie. Hey, they lie. They do. They will lie and say, oh, I want to. Every conversation that I had with every man before I got married was, oh, I like to have sex 3, 4, 5 times a day. It was a lie. It was a lie. It's a lie. Okay? But because of the way that society demonizes low sexual effort in men, they have created a stigma where men have to feel like they have to overcompensate for their sexuality. Where if you talk to a real man, he'd be like, hey, man, you're going to get 1, maybe 2, maybe 2 times. I'm not going to say a real man, because there are people who do have higher sexualities, but, you don't need to fake where you are on that level. Just be honest, because there are some men who are not interested in sexual activity like that. There are a lot of men. I ran into them all the time, apparently. So they everywhere. You just get not asking the right questions. But you don't have to try to overcompensate your sexuality for someone who may not even be looking for that. So be honest about what you want and the things that you desire from your sexual relationship, so that you can find someone who meets you on the same level. That is the best bet that you have. All right. And don't go back and tell your boyfriend or girlfriend that I told him to break up, because I didn't say that. I didn't. I'm just saying, find somebody on your level. Okay. Next question. And if you have questions, I know, whenever we're talking about sexuality and stuff, people are shy, and I'm fine with that. There's no need to feel any kind of guilt behind that. sexuality has been demonized in a lot of our communities. And so it's expected that you may not be as open to discuss sex and sexuality when, you know, people have told you that that's not something you should have access to. So I completely get that. Please send your questions into the email. If you still want to ask your questions but don't want people in your business, I'm totally okay with that. Bringing your information back to the chat so that, because it may be a question that other people have as well, and they're also just too shy to mention it. Okay? All right. Here is the next user question. I actually get this one a lot. Okay. The question is, what is it called when you are attracted to yourself? Like if I see me and I get aroused, what's that called? That is called autoerotic. Is it autoerotic? Did I make that up? Hold on. It's auto something. Auto. Ooh. Hold on. I want to say it's autoerotic. Autosexuality. I was like, autoerotic sound like something I made up. Okay. It's called autosexuality. And autosexuality is just a general attraction to you, to yourself, to the body that you live in, to how you perceive yourself. That is an autosexual. And to be autosexual really is the GOAT of sexualities, right? Because most people are not attracted to themselves or their types, right? Most people have like I like a dark skin, I like a boop-de-boop, blah, 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 blah. But they're not necessarily as nice about their own bodies as they are about the bodies of people that they're attracted to. So being an autosexual, and I'm gonna put that in the chat so you can look it up if you want to. An autosexual is someone who is sexually attracted to themselves. And it's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Again, it's really the GOAT because you understand the beauty that's in you, even if that's not necessarily what you're attracted to. Like, I am also an autosexual. I think I'm hot than a bitch. I'll take my clothes off. I'm like, shit, who is that? Walking past the mirror, I'm gonna look at that thing. It ain't much of it back there, but I'm gonna look at it. I'm gonna check it out. And so it is, and that's also exactly what Tweet was talking about in Oops. Tweet is an autosexual. She is aroused by her own body, by her own presence, her own skin, her own scent, all those things. And so to be an autosexual, again, it is one of the cheat codes because you don't have to fight the body dysmorphia that people experience. Many people don't have the perfect body, right? We all got guts and stretch marks and all that. And when we look at ourselves, we can be very critical of those things, even though we are not critical of those things in other people. I have had so many of those conversations of women being like, but you're beautiful and you're blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, bitch, I weigh 250 pounds. Like, I have a gut, I have stretch marks and long titties and no baby. Nothing to show for it. But they can look at me and they can be like, oh, but you're so beautiful. I'm like, you were Miss America. Like, you run track. You have shoulders and abs. Like, but people are super critical of their own bodies, no matter what shape it's in. When it comes to, as in a sexual way, they're very, what's the word I want to use? It's critical, but they're in a lightweight mean. It's lightweight mean how people are about their own bodies. And so an autosexual has already defeated all of that. Like, oh no, this is good. And so what that gives you as an advantage is it gives you the confidence to show up in those spaces because you already feel sexy. You already know that this is an attractive situation going on here. I already believe that. So I'm not trying to go in having sex with my clothes on, keeping the lights off, being quiet, turning the music up loud so you don't hear me, my fat flapping. An autosexual doesn't have to worry about that because I'm already super comfortable with all of this. I know it's good, and I know that when you see it, you're gonna be like, damn. And so it gives you a confidence to show up in those spaces and not have to deal with a lot of the body dysmorphia that people experience. And that is a really big thing for people to overcome. Probably one of the largest. For someone who's been doing this 11 years, I've been sitting in front of people talking about sex for 11 years now. And one of the hardest things to overcome is getting people to realize that you are also a sexual being. And also that, like, you are not, being an autosexual is a privilege. You are not supposed to be attracted to you. You are supposed to be attractive to other people. Okay? So yes, you are supposed to feel good and confident in your body. Absolutely. But as far as being attractive, to attract means to bring something together. It has to be another person involved for attraction. Okay? So your job is to be attractive to other people. And the thing about being attractive to other people is that you want to be attracted to other people who already like what you got going on. I tell all my clients, your job is to be the baddest bitch in the room in whatever your weight class is in. Okay? Whatever weight class you in, you supposed to be top of the line of that weight class. And if you move weight classes, you better tell the next weight class to watch out. Okay? You are supposed to show up completely confident and whole in wherever you are, however that looks. And then you put that energy out, and then you attract people who are interested in that energy and in the body that that energy comes in. Okay? People always say, I absolutely hate when they post those pictures of people and be like, oh, and I can't get a call back. Maybe that person was available. But it always be too mildly unattractive, or two people who dirty, or people who feet black on the bottom or something. And they be like, and I can't even get a call back. Maybe both of those feet would have answered your call. Both of them. But that's not the area in which you're moving. You're not trying to attract those people. Because they were available. That man that you like, oh, and I can't get a call back, or, and she won't even answer my text. They're available right now. You can hop in their inbox and take them right now. But you're not going to do that because that person is not on your level. So if your job is to be the best in your weight class, whatever that is, to show up as the best possible version of you, you are automatically going to emit an energy that people who are interested in that are going to find you. And it's not going to be people, when you put on a facade of who you are, or when you don't show up as your full self and you try to blend and you try to do what, the masses think that you should do, or whatever that looks like, you put on that fake facade and then you don't get fed what you need. Because you're not being who you are. You're being who you think people want you to be. If you were to be who you are, people can choose you based off of who you are and not what you're presenting as. So it's so important to learn embodiment and to learn how to be comfortable and confident in the skin that you're in. Because somebody's looking for that. They always say you see that little bitty leg and that big old body next to it. That's probably been my whole life. My whole life. But I've dated so many different types of guys that it didn't matter. Like how I showed up. I used to be bigger. I was smaller when I was in high school. Like I went through a whole range of weight classes. And in each one of them weight classes, I was bank. Because I'm still me, bitch. I'm still me, okay? And being that the energy that I put off and being able to step and be fully embodied in who I am attracted the type of people that I wanted. It's a lot of stuff that people have had to deal with that I have never had to encounter. And I'm so thankful for that. But Like some of the stuff that people be going through, baby, I don't know nothing about that. I don't attract those kind of people. I don't put on no facade on what it is. This is what it's gonna be, and this is the only version that exists. So being fully embodied and stepping into your power is so important to finding the kind of partner that you want. And I will say, of all the years that I dated, like, I definitely got super lucky with my husband. I realize that now that y'all telling me who all else is out there. But I I only had like one raggedy boyfriend, just one. The rest of them, I was just like, I'm not having fun no more. I'm not having fun no more. And so it's a different lane when you understand your value and you know who you are, and that cannot be swayed by other people. So it's important to practice being embodied and, take tips from other autosexuals, honey. And there's way more of them out there than you know. There are people who are genuinely attracted to themselves. Sometimes it's a little overboard, but that ain't my business either. So, but there are people who are very much into themselves and are aroused by the thought of themselves. So there's nothing wrong with that. And again, you a part of the chosen ones. That is something that people aspire to have, to see themselves as a sexual being, to see themselves as someone deserving of attention and gratitude and, all those different types of things. And that no matter what type of body you inhabit, people like it. People like it. They like it. There are people who like bellies and like stretch marks and like scars and like hair and like back fat and like fupas and all that stuff. Like, you're hiding something that people are looking for, that they're interested in. And so there's no need to hide. Baby, just live your life. Live your life. Be you. Be fully embodied in yourself, and let the world move you. Let it move you through. Okay? Well, that was a good question too. Okay. So we've been out here for a minute. I've been talking for a long time. Let's look at the schedule for the rest of the week. What are we doing for the rest of the week here? Weekly schedule. All right. So today was Wednesday. Ask Coach Catasha. Tomorrow is Thursday, which is going to be talking about Sex Tech Thursday, which is our I had a brain fart. Gosh. Our melding of sex and technology. Usually sexuality is always advancing with technology. That's always been the case. But most of that time, the technology is kept at the top with the money, right? And so this is for us to talk about new developments in sexuality and technology and how we can use them as just regular folk, as practical people. How do these innovations in tech and sex, how can they affect us? And so tomorrow we'll be talking about neurodivergent sexualities, and pretty much we'll be talking about how we are looking at spicy brains and sex. If you've been following any of the discourse going on with autism awareness and even with disability awareness and sexuality, there is a lot to unpack about the way we view sexuality in the eyes of ableism. And so we're going to be discussing that tomorrow at 12:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. And then on Friday at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, we'll be doing Late Night with Coach Catasha. I might start doing that one on TikTok. I don't know. Because they be getting me up out of there. But we'll see. So on Fridays, we come in, it's a check-in for you. I'm here to see like what's going on with you, like making sure you're good, making sure if you have anything, you want to get into that weekend and you need a little bit of help. Um, that we're here for that. I'm here to help you with that. So we'll be doing that Friday, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. So get your little drinks and whatever else you get into and come on in. Now, before we go, because I got a question in my inbox that I know that I can't answer. I know that I can't answer on any of these platforms. So I'm going to be figuring it out on Patreon so that I can answer some of the questions over there. But I also am going to be uploading some videos. I uploaded a role play onto, and so my role plays are guided role plays. So I built it to make sure that you're doing it safely. It tells you all the tools you need, all the tricks you need. It gives you the outline of what the role play is, and it tells you how to pull it off, how to be safe, and how to make it pop, how to do some little extra stuff to it to make sure that it's a very good time, okay? So we're going to be loading some role plays on there for until the end of this month, until October 1st. You can join my Patreon for $3 per month. And that is going to auto put you into our next tier starting October 1st. After October 1st, our $3 tier is just going to be our, if you want to support sexual health for adults. But the next tier up is going to be helping me pick shows. We're going to have some giveaways because I got to get rid of, I got a whole bunch of stuff. And I got to get rid of some of it. So we're going to have some giveaways and stuff and, just have a little bit of fun. So if you are interested in adult sex education, unfiltered adult sex education, because on Patreon, I am allowed to talk about some of those other, some of those more in-depth things that you have questions about that I can't necessarily talk about on some of these, on some of these platforms. But if you join our Patreon, we'll be able to get you right. Okay. So that, those are some good questions today. I had to block my first person. That's crazy. I never had to do that before. But I knew that it was going to come, but I've been doing this since February, and that's the first time that I had to block somebody. That's crazy. But it happens. It comes par for the course. It's the type of work that I do is definitely it's open to that kind of stuff. So I'm here for y'all though. I'm here for y'all. So the likelihood that I won't be able to go live on on TikTok for 7 days is really high. Okay, I'm probably not gonna be. They probably gonna kick me out. I feel like we was pretty good today though. I don't think we had any questions that might get it kicked off, but it might just be they might just be like, oh no, every time get up out of here. So I don't know. I feel like we were hey, I'm glad that you made it. Great new day to you. We were just talking about, I know, I had to block somebody. I never had to block anybody before. I had to block somebody. That's crazy. I think it was a kid though. You know how kids act when they get it somewhere they ain't supposed to be. That's what it was. When I was a kid, I was somewhere I wasn't supposed to be. I sat down and shut up and listened to what was going on. But now these kids want to come in and cut up, so I had to block somebody. That made me it made me sad. Not made me sad, but yeah, that's why I'm like, I would have just been here if I was not supposed to be in here and I could have had access to this information. I would have been here with my mouth zipped up, eating my cereal, shutting up. But these kids don't want to do that. They want to come in and cut up. So I had to get him out of here. Then he gonna ask me like, bruh, what for? You literally just asked me, can you see my boobs? Like 2 times. Like, you have to get out of here. I'm sorry. Exactly. I would have been ready for the party. Like, what are we doing? What are we talking about here today? But, hey, you can't, these new kids is different. They different. So, man. But we'll be back tomorrow. So, tomorrow we'll be talking about Neurodivergent sexuality. So we're talking about spicy brains and sexuality and some of the obstacles that people with neurodivergent tendencies and people who are on the spectrum may be experiencing with trying to be sexual beings. So we'll be back. Yeah, we're gonna be doing some spicy brain talk tomorrow, 12:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, and then after that I gotta go be auntie because my nephew called me because he needed a haircut. It's he went to college and he got his haircut by somebody in college and they messed him up. He said, "Never again, auntie, can you come and get me?" So I gotta go all the way to Lakes and then go get my nephew, but that's fine because my favorite one, and so I'm gonna go pick him up and take him to get his haircut when I get finished with the show tomorrow. So, but I will be back then. I got some good stuff coming up for y'all. I don't know if you're in Oklahoma. If you are in Oklahoma and okay, how do I say this? I'm having a Halloween party. Okay, this is not an open Halloween party. But if you know someone who has been to the Halloween party, you can come to the Halloween party, but you have to know somebody who's already been, and they have to be your chaperone. So if you are in the city and you are looking for something adult to do for Halloween, I'm having a party, it's my 7th annual. Oh my gosh. It's probably been more than that, honestly, but, yeah, listen, you're gonna have to find somebody who been. I know, but you'll be surprised who has been, but you gotta have somebody who's been because, you gotta have a chaperone. But, we having a Halloween party. It's a play party. Okay, it's a play party. So, if you are in the city and you are looking for something adult to do, you need to hook up with someone who is in the loop so that you can get an invite to come to the... They don't. I will give you that because I've been doing it for years and nobody, people still don't know. But that is a testament to how good the organization is, okay? This is an adult organization. We make sure I am here to open up a space for you to learn and grow and experience things that you probably have never experienced, and usually in Black. So that's what the spaces are open for. That's what we do. And, we've been doing it for years and it hasn't been no trouble. I have 0 bad reviews. So, but yeah, if you're in Oklahoma, you find somebody and get on the list because Halloween is going to be cracking. I came up with my costume. Thank you, Justine. We talked it out. We did. So I'm super excited. Oh, I'm so excited. I have to find me a wig. I had to make my wig last year because I was Ronnie from Players Club. I love that outfit. All the other people really enjoyed it too. But yeah, this year I'm super hyped about my costume again. So I will see y'all back here tomorrow. Don't be late. 12:30 p.m.